Think about it. Every single day, you're clicking on dozens, maybe even hundreds of links. And it feels so simple, right? It's like flipping a light switch. But what if I told you that underneath that one little click, there's a whole hidden world of design, philosophy, and even a really deep identity crisis? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on that humble web link and find out what it really is. All right, so let's get right to it. What really happens when you click a link? And I don't just mean the technical stuff like packets and servers. I mean, what does it truly mean to point to something on the internet?
I mean, on the surface, it seems so simple, right? You see this string of characters, this URL, you click it, and boom, a web page pops up on your screen. That's the basic move we all make online every single day. But this beautiful simplicity is actually hiding a world-changing idea.
See, that simple action, it's actually part of this huge, grand design. When Tim Berners-Lee invented the web, he wasn't just trying to make it easy to see a page. He was trying to build something he called a universal information space. To really get why this was so revolutionary, you kind of have to picture the internet before the web. It was, well, a total mess. You had all these disconnected systems, FTP for files, Gopher for documents, and each one was like its own little walled garden that couldn't talk to the others. And then in 1989, Tim Berners-Lee comes along with this totally radical idea. What if we had one single universal way to identify anything? And the solution was the Uniform Resource Identifier, the URI. It was going to be one global naming scheme to rule them all. Okay, but here's where the plot thickens. This brilliant, simple solution, it had a really deep philosophical problem baked right into its DNA. A problem that created this, hidden identity crisis for the entire web. So if you look at the official documents, they define a URI as a global identifier for an item of interest. And these items of interest have a name. They're called resources. Okay, a URI identifies a resource. Sounds simple enough, right? But yeah, this is exactly where the trouble starts. Which, of course, brings us to the most important question of all. If a link points to a resource, then what on earth is a resource? Now, this might sound like a really basic question, but trust me, the answer is anything but. So you look it up, you go to the official standards, and here's what you find. A resource is whatever might be identified by a URI. Yeah, if you're thinking, wait, that's completely circular. You are absolutely right. It basically says a link points to a thing, and a thing is whatever a link points to. This definition tells us, well, nothing at all. Let's make this real. Think about a link for the Eiffel Tower. What is that link actually pointing to? Is it the web page you're looking at, or is it the actual physical 1,000-foot-tall steel building in Paris? Maybe it's the company that runs the tower. Or what if it's just the abstract idea of the Eiffel Tower? The link itself, it gives us absolutely no clue which one it is. And that is the web's hidden identity crisis. You know, this wasn't just some abstract philosophical thing. It kicked off this huge debate among the people who were actually building the web. They really had to figure this out. Where does a link get its meaning? So two big ideas, two competing theories, kind of bubbled to the surface. One camp, the logicists, they said meaning is all in the code. The cold, hard logic of the system, that's the truth. But the other side, the direct reference folks, said no way. Meaning comes from what the person who made the link wanted it to mean. It was basically a showdown, code versus human intention, the machine versus the mind. But then, a completely different answer started to emerge. A third way of looking at the whole thing called social semantics. In this quote, this really gets to the core of it. Harry Halpin, who did a lot of work on this, he basically said that meaning isn't handed down from the code, and it's not just stuck in one person's head. It's something we build together. So what does that actually mean, social semantics? The idea is that the meaning of a link isn't just sitting there in the code, and it's not locked away in the mind of the person who made it. The meaning is built, bit by the actions of all of us, millions of people using the web every single day. And here's the cool part. This isn't just theory. It means that you, yeah, I'm talking to you, are an active part of this whole story. You're actually helping to define what the web is. Think about it. Every time you search for something, you're basically telling the web what you think those words should lead to. Every time you share a link, or tag a bookmark, or even just decide to click on a link that someone else made, you're casting a vote. You're adding your voice to this giant global conversation about what that string of characters really means. So, this completely changes how we should think about the web. It's not some fixed, static library of stuff that we just look at. It's more like a living, breathing thing, a form of life, as some philosophers might say. And it's one that we are all, right now, actively shaping and creating with every single click.
Which leaves us with one last, kind of mind-blowing question to think about. If we're all doing this together, building the meaning of the web without even really thinking about it, what kind of collective brain are we building here? And maybe more importantly, what does that intelligence say about us?